music at night and drink, and at a certain point I was concerned because I thought, my God, here's my girl, who I love in a kind of a lustful way, but not necessarily with much spirit to it. I'll be honest with you. I told you about a tattoo, what else am I doing? I don't have any, by the way. Let's see. Actually, you know, I've never been interested in sort of, you know, earrings and tattoos and stuff like that. My body is a temple. But there is a tattoo, we were just talking with the guys in the armor. There's a tattoo that was sort of intriguing to me. It's called a white tattoo, and it's in Japan. And what it is a tattoo without ink. So it's invisible, unless your circulation is excited in some way. Through strenuous physical exertion, say a hot tub or something. And then it comes up white. And in Japan, the geishas have vines of flowers tattooed in their thighs that way, so that they don't show normally, but again, under extreme physical exertion, all of a sudden you're in a forest. Anyway, the end of the story of that song, I mean, for what it's worth, is that I thought, you know, no, this isn't right, because I could see that they really, they were meant to be together. Maybe not for a long time, but they were meant to be together. So I stepped back, you know, and said to Chris, and said to Rita, you know, and they got married and had a couple of kids and got divorced, and I kept the ranch. And I still live there. I've been there 20-some years now. But it's the old Jones Ranch, which is now the old Albert Ranch. Any questions, guys? Yeah?
What was the name of the first piece that you played?
Last night?
Just now.
Oh, just now? Actually, it's from an old Celtic melody that Mark Knopfler did a variation of in a lovely, lovely film called Local Hero. And it just stuck with me, and one day I found my fingers playing it, and it's sort of been a little kind of a touchstone piece for me ever since.
It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks. On behalf of all the old cats. But you know, one of the things I was talking about, sort of extended family and stuff last night, my music, I quit playing music and started acting primarily because my music was too personal. You know, I can go in front of a camera and 120 people in a crew and 50 million people in an audience and not be shy at all. Last night I came to sing something in front of you guys and I was hitting the microphone, my hands were shaking and I was stuttering, you know. But I figured, you know, you guys are so generous in the openness of your hearts that I don't mind looking forward to it. Yeah.
I'd like you to tell your story about your nickname, Rat.
Okay, well, the question was, she wanted me to tell the story about my nickname, the Rat Man. Now, this was my nickname on the Beauty and the Beast crew. And anytime I walked on the set, everybody would start doing the Batman theme. You know, Batman. And where it came from, talk about embarrassment, is that on my ranch for a lot of years, we had a goat shed and an area for the goats, and an area for the poultry and stuff. We called it Little Tijuana. And to my amazement, at one point, we found out that it was on somebody else's property, and they weren't real pleased. So we had to take it down, and I had a late call. We were shooting at Griffith Park, which is a park in LA about an hour from where I live. And, you know, we had a chainsaw, a couple of claw hammers, and wrecking bars, and me and two other guys had it down pretty quick. And I figured I'd, you know, hop into a shower and head for work about 1 o'clock. But as we were taking up the floor, it was a wooden floor, to my absolute horror, I lifted it up, and there were dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of rats. I mean, running around. Here I am holding the floor up with all these rats running around my feet. I'm just praying one doesn't go on my leg, you know. And finally, I'm just sitting there like, ew, ew, ew. And finally, they all sort of dispersed and everything. And I went and took a real shower. And hopped into the car and went bombing down the Ventura Freeway at about 70 miles an hour to Griffith Park. Well, 55 miles an hour. And as I was driving along, I hear an occasional. I figured I got to get the timing checked on this car. So anyway, I drove into the park, and everybody was set up in a large parking lot area there with a catering truck and a wardrobe with makeup trailers and everything. And as I was driving up, everybody said, "Hey, Ed, how you doing, guys?" You know, like that. I pulled the car up, and I'm getting out of the car, and I'm sort of smiling and waving at people, which, you know, they're about 100, 200 feet off. And all of a sudden, somebody starts laughing. Then 4 or 5 people start laughing. Then women start screaming. I looked at my fly. Family jewels were still safe from prying eyes. And as I looked down, I saw rats scurry away over there. I looked at my car. I saw 2, 4 more rats go, 6, 8. All these damn rats had run straight from Little Tijuana up under the car and were hanging on for dear life as I was driving down the Ventura Freeway at 70 miles an hour. I hope he doesn't live far from here. And so when I got there and finally stopped the car, they all started, and I mean, there must have been 2 dozen rats that ran out from under the car. Needless to say, from that day on, Rat Man. Any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Sort of two-part question. I noticed your Spanish influence. Something to do with your dear mother, and secondly, what is her name?
Okay, thank you. Nice question. My dear, dear, dear mother was born in Mexico City, of Spanish-Irish parents, and I grew up essentially biculturally. I spoke Spanish from the beginning. And my mother was also a flamenca dancer and a modern dancer, and studied with Balanchine and danced with Jose Limon, and had to put powder puffs in her bra when she was 14 years old and dancing at the Waldorf in New York. She was a very well-known dancer. I worked with in the Martha Graham Company. I grew up hearing my mother and father playing music and her dancing from as far back as I can remember. I actually have a table still that has her heel marks in it. And I remember as a baby, literally, being, because they always took me, whatever parties they went to, they always dragged my little diapered butt along. And I remember being put under this table and hearing, people singing and my mom dancing on the top of the table and everything. And as children will, that was the thing that lulled me to sleep, But yes, a good deal of my music has always been influenced by Latino music. As a matter of fact, before I was an actor, I was a studio percussionist. And although I did play set drums, and probably on stuff that you've heard, I worked with Joni Mitchell, Chris Christopherson, Rita Coolidge, obviously, Joan Baez, Tito Puente, Mongo Santa Maria. My specialty was Latin percussion, especially conga and timbales. And I still play. I make drums now, actually. I make congas. That is truly, especially in music, the pervasive influence that I have. Anything else has sort of been tacked onto that. But there's something sort of so sweetly soulful and passionate about it. And it has all the qualities of blues and gospel and rock and roll. And I mean, there's an extraordinary spectrum of music to draw from.